This seems a little high. It's probably Nintendo tax. That can't be right. No. Alright guys, it's time for a reality check. Time and time again, it's made clear that the publishers and developers of arcade racers don't understand the fans and the market they are trying to sell to. They continually make the same mistakes year after year, and then we're given the blame when we don't buy their games. So let's take a look at the arcade racing market and understand why the games we are getting are still flopping year after year. Firstly, arcade racers have lost a lot of their perceived value. Not only is this due to mobile games, as I talked about in my What Killed Arcade Racers video, but it's also due to other racing games in the market that just offer much more than what arcade racers can realistically deliver. It seems that modern racing games now are all about content. Just look at series like Need for Speed, Forza, and The Crew. Those games put you in an open world with huge car lists and give you plenty of things to do. This is what people expect to get when they pay $60 or more for a racer. So when an arcade racer like Onrush charges the same price for a small selection of closed circuit tracks, 8 vehicles, and a few game modes, of course it isn't going to sell well, even when disregarding its other issues. Although Onrush was technically not competing with any of those series I mentioned, it's still going to be held to that same standard. This leads to my second point. What's the reason this is happening? Shouldn't the fans and marketplace for these games be completely different? Well, not quite. To better understand what I mean, let's analyze the racing game landscape. On one end, you have arcade racers. Games like Ridge Racer, Burnout, and Midnight Club would go here. At the other end, you have simulation racers like Assetto Corsa, iRacing, and Dirt Rally. This leaves this huge gray area where you can get a mix of games that just don't fit into these hard set categories. So for simplicity, we'll put Simcade right in the middle. Even with these sections, there is still a lot of overlap, so much so that people will argue where a game sits on this spectrum. This overlap is important here, as even diehard fans of both sides will still venture out into this gray area. For example, I predominantly play arcade racers, and I'm not interested in simulation experiences, so I would sit on the left side. This still leaves a wide range of racers that will indirectly end up competing for my money, even if they're very different in their approach. I also have friends who cover this entire spectrum of racers, so anything is fair game for them. There is so much overlap that games that weren't originally meant to be in direct competition will end up indirectly competing in the marketplace. Also, these fans are less willing to put up with additional monetization tactics. For example, Grand Theft Auto has millions of players who pay for their microtransactions. Yet arcade racing fans, on the other hand, will pretty much tell you to go screw off if you try to pull that same crap in their games. Remember how well the microtransactions in Need for Speed Payback went over? It went over so badly that EA didn't even dare to do it in Need for Speed Heat. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely people who will be willing to pay for loot boxes, battle passes, cosmetics, and microtransactions in arcade racers, but the majority just will not. The best example of games that have understood the marketplace and catered to fans properly have been Grip and Wreckfest. Not only do they have a good amount of content in the base game for a decent price, but they also have added in more content in free updates and paid DLC. They don't have any loot boxes, battle passes, or microtransactions. This is how you do a modern day arcade racer. I'm definitely not the messiah of the arcade racing genre, but I can say this at least. When you do the same thing each and every year, and it ends up resulting in the same poor outcome, when do you guys realize that it's not going to work? When are you going to stop blaming gamers for not wanting these games instead of yourself for not understanding the arcade racing market? You are dealing with a fundamentally different set of people who just want more content, lower prices, and most importantly, less bullshit. It's just that damn simple. This is my message to all the developers and publishers who plan on making that breakthrough game in the arcade racing genre. Take this video as both a guide and a warning. Do not repeat the past mistakes of previous ventures. I know that one day we will get that one high-profile arcade racer that will finally break us out of the slump we are currently in. This has been Gamer Alex. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day.